The world of modern celebrity culture is one of hyper-detailed observation, where absolutely nothing happens by accident and every single public appearance is calculated to tell a story far deeper than what meets the eye on the surface. For nearly 2 decades, one singular figure has mastered this art of visual storytelling unlike anyone else in the history of the music industry, turning her global fan base into an army of dedicated detectives who analyze everything from the color of her fingernails to the precise angle of a zipper. This intricate universe of hidden meanings, historical callbacks, and cryptic clues has transformed the simple act of stepping out of a vehicle or walking down a red carpet into a high-stakes puzzle that captures the imagination of millions around the globe. To understand this phenomenon is to understand how a simple piece of clothing or a vintage accessory can hold the key to a massive, unannounced career milestone or a deeply personal life transition. The power of these symbols lies in their ability to speak directly to an audience that is always watching, always recording, and always searching for the underlying narrative that connects an artist's personal life with their public creative output. As we begin to untangle the latest and perhaps most fascinating mystery to emerge from this world of calculated imagery, we find ourselves looking back at a series of seemingly unrelated public appearances that occurred earlier this year, each one leaving a trail of breadcrumbs that pointed toward a massive revelation that no one saw coming, but everyone was desperate to understand. When an artist reaches a level of cultural dominance where their every movement dictates trends and sparks worldwide conversation, the pressure to innovate and surprise becomes immense. This is an individual who built her entire career on the foundations of intimate songwriting and a deeply personal connection with her listeners. A connection that was fostered through secret messages hidden in the capitalized letters of her early album liner notes. Over the years, as the venues grew from small country music showcases to massive sold-out football stadiums spanning multiple continents, the scale of these hidden messages expanded alongside her fame. What started as simple textual clues evolved into an elaborate language of fashion, color theory, and historical symbolism. Every era of her musical journey has been defined by a distinct visual palette, a specific aesthetic that signals to the world exactly what emotional and creative territory she is currently exploring. When she steps out into the public eye wearing a specific designer garment or a rare piece of antique jewelry, it is never just an outfit choice, it is a carefully curated statement, a piece of living art designed to be decoded, discussed, and eventually understood as part of a larger grand design. This level of intentionality has created a unique dynamic between the artist and the public, one where the boundaries between life, art, and fashion are completely blurred, making every public outing a potential turning point in a narrative that has been unfolding in real time for 20 years. To truly appreciate the depth of this current mystery, one must look at the profound significance that concepts of luck, fate, and destiny have always held throughout this extraordinary career. From the very beginning, there has been a deep-seated reliance on talismans and symbols of good fortune, most famously exemplified by a certain double-digit number painted onto the back of a hand before taking the stage night after night. This reliance on physical tokens to ground oneself amidst the swirling chaos of global superstardom speaks to a deeply superstitious and romantic worldview, one that views the universe as a series of signs and coincidences waiting to be interpreted. In recent times, this fascination with meaningful tokens has taken on a more mature and historical dimension, transitioning away from temporary symbols toward the acquisition of rare, historic artifacts that carry their own centuries-old stories and energies. There is a distinct poetic resonance in choosing to wear an object that has survived through generations, an object that has witnessed different eras of human history and has now found its way into the hands of one of the most influential figures of the modern age. It is within this intersection of history, personal superstition, and high fashion that our current story takes place, centered around an exquisite and mysterious artifact that has suddenly become a permanent fixture in the star's public life, appearing at crucial moments of professional triumph and personal celebration alike. If you want to stay ahead of the curve and never miss an update on the fascinating hidden details, complex mysteries, and breaking developments surrounding the world's biggest stars, make sure to subscribe to our channel right now and join our growing community of pop culture enthusiasts who look beyond the surface of everyday headlines to find the real stories that shape our cultural landscape. The first major clue in this captivating new chapter appeared completely out of nowhere during a bright afternoon in April, long before the rest of the world had any idea what massive creative projects were being developed behind closed doors. On that seemingly ordinary spring day, the celebrated pop icon was spotted by photographers wearing an elegant, carefully coordinated ensemble that immediately sent shockwaves through the online community. She was dressed in a stunning blue and white patterned dress from the contemporary fashion label Staud, a choice that exuded a breezy, classic sophistication. To complement the outfit, she carried a striking yellow Lady Dior handbag, a luxury accessory that added a bold pop of primary color to the overall look. At first glance, it appeared to be nothing more than a flawless display of spring fashion from a woman known for her impeccable taste. However, to the trained eyes of her most dedicated followers, this specific combination of blue, white, and bright yellow was far too distinct to be a mere coincidence. The color scheme immediately evoked a very specific, universally recognized visual identity from a beloved piece of global popular culture, sparking an immediate frenzy of speculation across internet forums and social media networks. Fans began drafting elaborate theories, matching the exact shades of her outfit to the iconic aesthetic of an upcoming cinematic masterpiece, predicting a major professional collaboration weeks before any official announcement was made to the public. It was a masterclass in subtle promotion, a way to signal an upcoming milestone exclusively to those who knew exactly how to look. Yet, amid the intense online debate surrounding the vibrant colors of her dress and handbag, a much smaller, far more mysterious detail went largely unnoticed by the casual observer during that initial April outing. Hanging delicately around her neck was a breathtaking piece of antique jewelry, a brilliant, intricately crafted token that seemed to anchor the entire look with a sense of timeless elegance. This vintage piece, carrying a deep historical weight and an unmistakable aura of classic luxury, was not just a beautiful accessory to fill empty space on a neckline. It was a deliberate choice, an antique talisman that bridged the gap between the historic past and the immediate creative future of the artist. As the weeks went on and the calendar moved closer to the summer months, this identical shimmering artifact began to reappear with an unusual, almost calculated frequency, transforming from a once-time fashion accessory into something far more significant. It became a constant companion during a whirlwind series of high-profile events, a silent witness to a historic career pivot and a deeply significant personal evolution. By the time the world finally understood the true meaning behind that initial blue and white April outfit, the mysterious shimmering necklace had firmly established itself as the center of an entirely new wave of speculation, leaving millions of viewers wondering what deeper secrets this beautiful vintage token was holding and what major life events it was destined to bless next. The anticipation that had been building steadily since that crisp afternoon in April finally reached a spectacular boiling point on June 9th, when the glittering streets of Los Angeles played host to one of the most highly anticipated cinematic events of the decade. The world premiere of the animated masterpiece Toy Story 5 was not just a celebration of a historic film franchise, but the official unveiling of a monumental creative milestone for the world's biggest music icon, who had secretly returned to her deeply cherished country roots to pen the poignant and soaring original theme song titled I Knew It, I Knew You. As the cameras flashed and thousands of gathered fans erupted into a wall of sound, the pop star stepped onto the red carpet wearing a breathtaking patchwork Erdem mini dress that perfectly mirrored the eclectic, hand-stitched spirit of the film's beloved animated universe. The avant-garde garment, a masterful tapestry of distinct fabrics and intricate floral patterns, was a living embodiment of artistic reinvention, but it was the familiar, brilliant shimmer resting at the base of her throat that instantly caught the attention of fashion historians and pop culture experts alike. There, catching the bright California sun, was the exact same antique Victorian diamond horseshoe pendant that had quietly debuted weeks earlier in April, now elevated to the ultimate symbol of professional triumph and creative luck. By choosing this specific talisman for such a massive public milestone, she was sending an unmistakable, beautifully coordinated message to her audience, connecting the vintage horseshoe motif directly to the Western heritage of the film's iconic cowgirl lead, Jessie, while firmly establishing the piece as her ultimate lucky charm for this new professional era. As the industry and the public began digging into the origins of this striking piece of jewelry, they uncovered a rich historical narrative that added layers of profound meaning to the star's visual storytelling. The exquisite piece was traced back to the exclusive collections of Sophie Jane Jewels, a boutique renowned for curating and preserving rare historic artifacts from bygone eras. Investigation revealed that the pendant was a true piece of living history, dating all the way back to the late 1800s during the height of the Victorian era, a period when jewelry design was deeply rooted in complex symbolism, romance, and hidden emotional messages. In its original incarnation more than a century ago, the piece had actually begun its life not as a necklace, but as an exceptionally rare, custom-crafted brooch forged from a luxurious combination of 14-karat yellow gold and bright, enduring platinum. The core of this antique masterpiece features 15 magnificent old mine-cut diamonds, historic gemstones that were individually cut by hand long before modern laser technology existed, giving each stone a unique, soulful fire that reacts to light in a completely different way than contemporary diamonds. This incredible 2-carat treasure had been carefully preserved through the generations until Sophie Jane meticulously reworked the historic brooch into an elegant modern necklace, a delicate transformation that allowed its timeless beauty to be worn close to the heart, eventually selling the completed masterpiece to the Grammy-winning singer for the sum of $4,485. The choice of a horseshoe shape carries an immense weight of traditional lore and historical symbolism, representing protection, good fortune, and the welcoming of positive energies, but within the specific context of this artist's life, it also served as a beautiful bridge between her spectacular professional achievements and an incredibly intimate, rapidly approaching personal milestone. Following the spectacular triumph of the film premiere in Los Angeles, the pop star did not retreat from the public eye. Instead, she embarked on a whirlwind, highly exclusive promotional tour across the United States, utilizing a series of private radio events to personally thank the key industry insiders and music programmers who were helping propel her country-tinged single to the top of the global charts. Newly released, highly coveted photographs from these private gatherings show the opalite singer wearing the vintage Victorian with a series of flawlessly curated outfits that continued to blend high-fashion sophistication with deep, nostalgic callbacks to her past musical era. At an intimate celebration held in the heart of Nashville, Tennessee, the historic home of her musical beginnings, she stunned the room in a magnificent maroon midi dress valued at $950, which featured an elegant, architectural folded detail at the bust that perfectly framed the antique diamond necklace. Shortly thereafter, the promotional tour traveled to the wide-open landscapes of Texas, where she seamlessly transitioned into a breathtaking, S-Vito striped crocheted maxi dress worth $1,350, featuring a rich, retro color palette of deep cream, vibrant orange, and sultry red that fans immediately recognized as a deliberate visual callback to the moody, late-night aesthetic of her critically acclaimed Midnight's era. What made these private promotional appearances truly captivating to onlookers, however, was the way the star expertly layered this historic Victorian token with other deeply significant, highly personal pieces of jewelry that she has worn continuously throughout this transformative year. Accompanying the antique horseshoe on her wrists and fingers was an extraordinary display of modern luxury and deep emotional devotion, most notably a stunning Cartier Love Unlimited bracelet, valued at an incredible $9,400, a piece known worldwide as the ultimate symbol of unbreakable, everlasting romantic commitment. Even more spectacular was the inclusion of her magnificent Kindred Lubeck engagement ring, a towering masterpiece of modern jewelry design that holds an incredibly profound, secret connection to the vintage necklace itself. Master jewelers and sharp-eyed commentators quickly pointed out that the massive, breathtaking old mine-cut diamond featured as the centerpiece of her engagement ring perfectly echoes the unique, historic cut of the 15 individual diamonds set into the Victorian horseshoe pendant, creating a flawless, harmonious visual link between the jewelry celebrating her historic professional success and the jewelry celebrating her upcoming walk down the aisle. This deliberate alignment of historic gemstones served as a powerful, silent testament to the fact that her public creative triumphs and her private romantic happiness were expanding in perfect unison, creating a beautiful harmony that has defined this unparalleled chapter of her 36 years of life. The layers of meaning embedded within the horseshoe motif run even deeper when one examines the extraordinary personal history shared between the global superstar and her fiancé, the celebrated NFL tight end Travis Kelce, a relationship that has captivated the public imagination and filled headlines for months. Horseshoes have long held a central, almost miraculous place in their shared journey, serving as a recurring symbol of luck, mutual support, and romantic destiny from the very early stages of their highly publicized romance. Long before the vintage Sophie Jane pendant became a staple of her wardrobe, Kelce had famously made headlines during the 2024 Kentucky Derby when he personally commissioned a spectacular, custom-made diamond horseshoe necklace for his partner. A beautiful piece that was intimately engraved with the timeless phrase, "Wishing you good luck." That initial sports-centric token of affection served as a beautiful harbinger of the incredible good fortune that would follow them both, through championship football seasons and record-breaking stadium tours alike, creating a shared romantic language centered around this classic symbol of protection and prosperity. Now, as the cowgirl-inspired promotional styling of the cinematic era naturally draws to its conclusion with the film dominating theaters worldwide, the continuous presence of the Victorian horseshoe pendant signals that this emblem of good fortune is transitioning from a professional tool into a profound personal blessing, serving as the ultimate protective charm as she prepares to close the book on her public tour and step directly into the most anticipated celebrity wedding of the decade, set to take place this coming Friday in the heart of New York City. The culmination of this extraordinary journey brings us to the absolute peak of cultural anticipation, where the carefully constructed bridge between public art and private reality finally delivers its grand conclusion. When a global icon reaches the point where her music, her fashion choices, and her personal life all converge into one singular historic weekend, the entire world stops to watch how the final chapters of these intricately woven stories will unfold. This brilliant Victorian diamond horseshoe pendant, which began its journey over a century ago as an obscure piece of aristocratic jewelry before being rediscovered and transformed into a modern pop culture phenomenon, has ultimately come to represent far more than a mere nod to a beloved animated cowgirl or a cinematic achievement. It stands as a physical manifestation of a master storyteller's ability to completely dictate her own narrative, transforming a simple $4,400 antique necklace into a universal symbol of romantic destiny, creative independence, and total personal fulfillment. As the cinematic era of her career reaches its natural apex with theaters filled to capacity around the globe, the focus shifts entirely to the historic streets of New York City, where the final, most deeply significant transformation of this lucky talisman is set to take place in real time, cementing a legacy that transcends the boundaries of traditional musical achievement. To truly comprehend the scale of what this journey represents, one must look closely at the incredible evolution of the woman at the center of this global whirlwind, who has spent the last 2 decades constantly reinventing herself while remaining intensely loyal to the core values that defined her youth. Emerging from the competitive world of country music as a teenager with nothing but an acoustic guitar and a diary full of deeply relatable songs, she has systematically conquered every single genre of the modern music industry, breaking every established commercial record along the way. Yet, despite achieving a level of fame and financial success that places her in an elite tier of historical significance alongside the greatest cultural icons of human history, her return to her country roots for this cinematic project demonstrates a profound artistic maturity. Writing a song that captures the spirit of a legendary film franchise while simultaneously referencing her own personal journey required a delicate balance of humility and grand ambition. By choosing to anchor this entire professional era to a century-old Victorian talisman, she beautifully signaled that no matter how far her global travels take her, she remains deeply connected to the foundational elements of storytelling: authenticity, and emotional honesty that first sparked her creative flame all those years ago in Pennsylvania and Tennessee. This seamless integration of past and present is precisely what makes her upcoming marriage to the celebrated professional athlete such a profoundly captivating moment for the public imagination. Their relationship has represented a rare, beautiful collision between two entirely distinct worlds of modern entertainment, bringing together the absolute pinnacle of global musical performance with the intense, high-stakes universe of professional sports. Throughout this highly publicized romance, the couple has consistently demonstrated a unique, shared understanding of what it means to perform under the highest levels of pressure, supporting one another through championship victories and record-breaking international stadium tours with equal amounts of grace and enthusiasm. The recurring presence of the horseshoe motif throughout their shared timeline serves as a beautiful, poetic reminder of how they have continuously protected their private happiness amidst the blinding glare of constant public observation. From that initial, custom-engraved token of affection, presented during the legendary horse races of the Kentucky Derby, to the magnificent hand-cut diamond engagement ring that now shines alongside the Victorian pendant. These physical symbols have acted as emotional anchors, allowing them to build a deeply grounded, exceptionally resilient partnership that is now ready to be celebrated in front of the entire world. The choice of New York City as the definitive setting for this monumental union is itself a deeply significant element of the story, serving as the ultimate urban backdrop for an artist who has long credited the metropolis with giving her a renewed sense of creative freedom and personal independence during crucial moments of her adult life. The city's historic architecture, bustling energy, and unparalleled cultural weight perfectly match the grand scale of a wedding that has already been declared the most anticipated social event of the modern era. As the final logistical preparations are completed behind closed doors and the world's media descends upon Manhattan, the antique Victorian necklace stands ready to perform its final, most important duty as a token of absolute good fortune. The 15 old mine-cut diamonds, which have spent the last several months capturing the bright lights of Hollywood premieres and the intimate warmth of country music events, will now catch the historic light of a New York weekend, serving as a silent, shimmering bridge connecting her legendary past with an incredibly bright, uncharted future. It is a moment of total artistic and personal alignment, a flawless demonstration of how a dedicated creative spirit can successfully navigate the complexities of global superstardom while still finding the ultimate prize of true, lasting happiness as we look back at the incredible trail of visual clues, hidden meanings, and historic callbacks that led us from that quiet, deceptively simple afternoon in April all the way to this historic Friday in June. It becomes undeniably clear that we have witnessed a masterclass in modern cultural storytelling. This was never merely a story about a beautiful piece of jewelry or an outfit that matched a movie character. It was a carefully composed symphony of fashion, history, and romance, orchestrated by an artist who understands her audience more deeply than any other figure in contemporary society. The Victorian diamond horseshoe pendant has done its job flawlessly, guiding its wearer through a historic return to her musical foundations, blessing a massive cinematic milestone, and quietly signaling the approach of a profound life transition that will change her world forever. Now, as the final notes of the promotional tour fade away and the doors of the wedding venue prepare to open, the lucky charm has fulfilled its professional destiny, leaving fans and onlookers around the globe in a state of absolute awe as they watch one chapter beautifully close and an entirely new, magnificent story begin in the heart of the greatest city in the world.